What's up, everybody? Welcome into another episode of Profit Picks. If you are new, we always start this show by being transparent. Yesterday ended up being a good day. Nice 2-0, had the dream -4.5. They won by closer to 20. That was my top play. And then the best bet for this show was Sky team total under 74.5. And that was also a winner. They didn't touch 70. So nice 2-0 day yesterday. See if we can do it again here today. Actually, it's gonna be more than 2-0 today. I got like four, maybe even five loading up. So what's up with you, Vino? Hopefully
Oh,
you had a good day yesterday too.
yeah, all good here, Skee. I think the thought process was right. The play was wrong. I had Atlanta in the first half rather than full game. It was 33-33 at the end of a half. They didn't get, but they definitely blew Indiana out second half. Probably should have gone full game, set me back. It was the only play that I had tonight. We have four up and available. Actually, two NBAs and two WNBAs. So we're in action tonight, looking to bounce back a little bit from yesterday.
All right, let's get to it, Vino. We'll go in rotation order like we always do. First up, 505, 506, OKC, Indiana. This time in what do they call it? Is it Gamebridge? Gamebridge
Yeah,
Fieldhouse, right? Gamebridge
that's
Fieldhouse. Opened up -5 for the Thunder. Looks like 5.5 at most shops. Total open 227.5. Looks like 228 right now. And I don't think you have to worry too much about injury reports, but we'll just get right into it here, Vino. I guess the most interesting thing to me, or what I want to talk to you about first, we've seen a lot of times where OKC looks really dominant. We'll talk about the side first, where OKC looks really dominant, at home or, you know, but they go on the road and it's a whole different story. It's like, who is this team anymore? I think they failed to cover every single road game so far in the playoffs. Um, that's, that's maybe a red flag, we'll call it, for OKC. Um, Indiana has been pretty strong at home so far. You're mentioning maybe Hallie has a little bit of a leg issue. I'm curious. And also, we usually see these OKC spreads pretty high. I know it's home court advantage, but books think Indiana can be competitive in my eyes. I'm curious if you think that way as well.
I do, and let's just start with Oklahoma City and that little disparity between home and away. And it just goes back to what we say quite often here in playoffs that role players play better at home than they do on the road. And where OKC is concerned, Ski, I just don't consider only their 6 through 10 or 6 through 9 as role players. It's almost like it's SGA and role players. And some of those guys in the starting lineup haven't played well on the road sporadically either. And it's kind of led to closer games or even outright losses. So the same can kind of be said for Indiana. They're built the same way, 1 through 9, but they're home and their guys should play better. I would think that they can, depending upon the Halliburton injury, which I didn't put a ton of stock into. Looking at a couple of his quotes, he seems like, and this could just be him talking, could be adrenaline, could be a lot of things. But it seems like he'll be okay to play and play well in this one. So if we're just starting with side here, I do think Indiana can stick within 5.5 here. The money doesn't agree with that because they've pushed it up from 5 to 5.5, but Indiana's shown to be a pretty good bounce back team.
That was like immediate, right? Where they pushed it up like right after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I thought it was pretty interesting that, the news comes out about Hallie and the line doesn't even move at all. I'll say this. First of all, we got Mark in here playing OKC in the under. Shout out UCapper in the building. Reminding everybody hit the like button. Very important. Helps us out. Helps the show out. Appreciate you guys. And also, Latino Unicorn reposted this stream. Appreciate that. Get us out there. Let some people know.
Yeah.
Come over here and win some money. All right. So what? I watch these games quite a bit. Once it comes to semifinals, finals, I get a lot more time to dive into these games. And I wasn't surprised with what I saw. So usually the team that loses makes the adjustment, right? For OKC, it was like their adjustment was we're gonna get Shea downhill. Even if look, they had 4 fast break points. The Thunder as a team had 4 fast break points in that game, and it went over. But that just tells you how good they were scoring in the half court. And what it was is he's coming up and they're setting the screens at like the half court. So this is allowing SJ to immediately get downhill and create like an advantage. And then the first game, they were kind of maybe, they were at the nail helping, like in the middle of the floor. When they spread the floor out this way, it's like nobody was there to help in the middle. Um, so what I thought was, what is going to be the adjustment for Indiana now that the Thunder start doing this? And what I think Indiana can do better, I think a lot of it is defensively. But what I think Indiana can do better for that is um, go under those. Like if he's setting the ball screen at half court, why are you going over and chasing him? Go under and meet him where he's going. He's not going to be shooting from half court. And if he wants to take pull up 3-point jump shots, you live with that versus him getting into the middle and picking you apart, getting whatever he wants. I think that's one way you could do it. At one point, they tried to go zone. So even when like if it wasn't a high ball screen or maybe it still would have been high, like you got the other defender right there. They could do something like that. I think they can mix it up. And that's kind of what I heard Miles Turner say in the interview. He said, pretty much, he said, we got to mix things up for them defensively. We can't keep doing the same thing over and over again, like we saw in game 2. So I think there's ways for Indiana to play better defensively and offensively. I think they've learned you cannot go play this Thunder team and just consistently be half court. Like we've seen them 2 times now not look like the Pacers for the first half. And then magically in the second half, they turn it up and want to play their game. I think they understand that's the way that they have to play. I think being at home makes a hell of a difference for them too. I think the role players for them will shoot better. And the Thunder role players, while we're mentioning that, they went 10 for 21 from 3. I would expect some regression with them heading on the road. So I see a lane to Indiana covering this game. Um, Anything else before we maybe talk about total?
Well, I think to your point about OKC getting downhill, the free throws really tell the whole story. Right? I think between Jalen Williams and SGA, they shot 21 free throws. You just can't allow those guys. They're not really shooting 3-pointers. They're getting into the paint and nobody's greeting them once they get inside there. And again, to that point, Skee, once they get there, if they're met and they have to kick out, Oklahoma City, they shot well that last game, but they just don't consistently shoot well from the perimeter. I've said it before, and we see it more on the road than we do at home. So maybe Indiana can come up with a little bit of a different strategy here defensively to help themselves out. Offensively, I think Tyrese Halliburton might have said it the best. He actually said, I think I've really had 2 poor first halves. I got to figure out how to be better earlier in the game. And that goes to your point about all of a sudden in the second half, Indiana's been better than they have in the first half. So if Hallie figures it out earlier, which it sounds like he intends on doing, then Indiana can get back to their scoring ways. And I'm in total agreement with you that you have to play the game in the open floor. Oklahoma City is a good open floor team, yes, but again, they're not. Theirs comes off of turnovers. Indiana's got to stop. I don't know how you feel about this, but they got to stop dribbling into traffic, Skee. And we've seen that out of every team Oklahoma City's played. It's like they set the trap and these teams run right into it. And where are you going, Benedict Matherin? Where are you going? So basically, a little more sharing of the basketball before you get into trouble. And I don't know. I've just got a lot of faith in the Indiana offense watching it all season long.
All right, so we're in agreement on that. I mean, I guess we might not have to say too much. This total, it feels like, I mean, I think it'll be more of an up-tempo game from both teams. I do think there can be a little bit better defense play, but also, I mean, just the pace that I'm expecting, it's a one-way ticket for me. It's over or nothing. Any thoughts on that before we get over to the W?
Well, just to single one side out here, I think the Pacers team total is what I like best. It's 111.5. we've been on this a couple of times here already, and it's cashed. I probably got to the party a hair late on the first one, but Indiana's been held to 110 or less 4 times this postseason. And the immediate game afterwards, all 4 times, 129, 129, 130, and 125. You start to think, and I'll be a little bit repetitive because I said this on another show prior that we had, but you see a pretty good defensive effort thrown at Indiana, and you start to believe that, wow, this team has them figured out. And then the next game happens and you realize, no, Indiana just didn't play well offensively. So I think that, they're 4-0 over the total, like I just said, after putting up 108 or less. I'd like to follow that situation. I know it's short term, but it's been consistent all through the playoffs. In the 7 games, let's get back to real quick here what you said about OKC on the road. They have great defensive statistics in the playoffs, but really there's a huge home road disparity in their defense. I mean, 7 road games, they've allowed 112 or more 4 times on the road. 5 if you count Denver getting to 113 in overtime. But I'll just throw some numbers at you. Memphis at home got to 115 against this defense. Denver got to 119. And then, as I mentioned, the 113 in overtime. Minnesota got to 143 and 126. So I just feel like Indiana, who's been shooting pretty well in this series for what it's worth, 46.5 from the field, 40.5 from 3. Hey, listen, they got to 111 and 107 in those first 2 games, and I don't think they played their best offensive basketball. So asking for 112 here, I think, is not too much to ask for.
I'm in agreement. If I like the Pacers and I like the over, you add them together. That's what Rob Veno gave you right there. So good stuff on the NBA. We can move it right along, and we will go first out of 3 in the W, 625, 626. Minnesota Lynx heading into Seattle. Take on those Storm. Opened up 4.5, down to 3.5. I know why you're laughing too, Vino. Total. I don't know if we could talk about it, but I know why.
No. Honestly, that really wasn't. But I know what you're thinking. I just looked at my odds screen and I started laughing. But we can go on with Minnesota, Seattle.
Total open 156.5, and it's as low as 154.5. As far as injuries for Minnesota, I mean, Jessica Shepard, she went she went to Euro Cup, or she went overseas, right? So she's away from the team right now. And Griffin is also out for Minnesota. For Seattle, it looks like everybody will be available. First thing that stands out to me, I mean, Jessica Shepard is a big deal. I mean, she's a big for them too. Like, the paint gets a lot softer when she's not there. And she also, I mean, she could score, she could shoot. That's a big loss. Seattle is a team that has a lot of size. They like to try to score in the paint. So it could match up. I mean, this could be a nice matchup for Seattle to score in this game. And I almost want to throw up in my mouth when I say that. But this could be the one time where, it matches up well for them to score. And on the flip side, we know how well the Minnesota Lynx offense is. So I think it's Seattle or over for me, honestly. And I know Minnesota's undefeated. I think it's pretty telling that they're undefeated, short row favorite, and the line is coming down. Like, some people out there think that Seattle is going to be competitive in this game, and I'm in agreement. So Seattle or over. That's my thoughts here, Vino. How do you feel about it?
Well, whenever I see a line coming down, I just assume with basketball bettors that it's due to injury or absence from team. And you talked about Jessica Shepard being a big deal. So I wouldn't be surprised if some of that money is because she's off to Eurobasket. I'm going to bring up a couple of things here. Skee actually did this video for Wager Talk TV this morning. Where scheduling is concerned, a little bit of rest advantage for the Storm, 3 days off as opposed to 2. But last game, they scored 87, 89. I forget what it was. But they made a lineup change because Alicia Clark had a little bit of a bad ankle. And what Noelle Quinn did was she put Erica Wheeler into the starting lineup. And you and I have talked a lot this year about Seattle just having no creators outside of Diggins in that lineup. And Erica Wheeler gets in there. Now you have 2 backcourt creators. It pushed Gabby Williams to the small forward, which really, going back to her UConn days, that's her more natural position, is small forward. 3 quarters in that game that they just played against Phoenix, they scored between 22 and 24. And here I am talking good Seattle offense, which maybe I should throw up in my mouth, but they did score. Gabby Williams shot really well, 21 points, 8 of 10 from the floor, 5 of 6 from 3. Erica Wheeler, like I mentioned, frees up Skylar Diggins a little bit, and Skylar had 26 points, big second half. She actually said she played more aggressive in that lineup. Seattle found an offensive rhythm and a pocket, as she referred to it, that led to the point. So I don't know if first of all, I don't know if Noelle Quinn's going to start the same lineup. I don't know if Alicia Clark's coming back into the starting lineup or not. But if they go with this lineup, they seem to be a little bit more dangerous. Lynx, 3-game roll right now. I know it's a little bit subpar competition, but 3 double-digit wins in a row after they really hadn't been covering for a while. All 4 teams they've played, the last 4 have all shot under 40%. The last team to shoot 40% against them was Seattle in that game at Minnesota, 82-77, where Seattle ducked under the number. Remember, they're behind 26-11 in the first quarter, came back and won the next 3, 66-56. I want to get to your point about Seattle being a decent matchup inside, and on paper it is. Because they do have the size, but they're the second worst rebounding team and the second worst offensive rebounding team in the WNBA. And was it Dallas, Skee, a couple of games ago where Dallas got 20 offensive boards against them? I remember the head coach at halftime saying, we need to rebound better. They just haven't rebounded well this year. We'll see if they get there. In this game, they did actually out-rebound Minnesota by 2 and 4 offensive and total in that game that they played earlier. That game landed with 159 points. And this one, the total's down to 155.5. That 159 was really aided by a fourth quarter that scored 54. I don't know if they're going to get to 54 in any quarter here. Remember, this is a Commissioner's Cup game, and the winner will be in first place. Minnesota's 3-0, Seattle's 2-1. So if Seattle wins because of the head-to-head win tonight, if they get it, they would be in first. I just think there's going to be a little more defense than offense here. Minnesota hasn't allowed anybody really to score on them. And I think 4 of their last 6 games have landed 153 or less, 2 of the 3 slowest paced teams in the league. So I probably lean more towards under 155.5 than anything.
All right. Vino, you know what we do on this show. We make wagers. We open our wallet on this one.
There you go.
That's why we started the show late, because I was making bets too. Just FYI. But man, I'm liking it more and more. I mean, I said I like Seattle and I like over. I know you disagree on the over, but my guy, Justin Coolin, this is what I'm liking right here. This is low. I think they can win, but I mean, they've only stayed under 77 one time all season, as bad as the offense has been. Yeah. And I think this is a good matchup for them inside, like I think the rebounding, they could very well win it again this time. Like they put up 77 versus the Lynx after having a terrible first half that time, right? So 76.5 seems extremely low. So I would have to ask, do you think the Minnesota Lynx are going to win the game? I mean, or do you think they're going to be competitive? Because the only question I'm having is, I guess just talking it out loud, I don't have to include Minnesota because it could be a situation where Seattle's scoring and they're limiting them on the other side if I think Seattle can win. But if you have to pick, who you think wins?
I just think in any big game situation, I'd rather have Minnesota. I think Nafisha Collier is the best player on the floor. And when push comes to shove, if you need points, you're going to get them from her. They'll go to her. That starting lineup is pretty tough. If I had to bet side, I would probably, maybe have to look money line or something. I don't know. But I would think Minnesota wins the game. The biggest question for me, Skee, and again, I can't answer it now because I haven't seen the starting lineup, but if Erica Wheeler is in that starting lineup, I rattled off a lot of good offensive things for Seattle when she started the last game. And I think it's a smart move. I know Alicia Clark brings defense, but you know what? Seattle's problems and with getting stagnant offensively were so visible, even though they've been scoring. With her on the floor, they just look like more of a free-flowing unit. So we'll see what the starting lineup is tonight. If it does include Wheeler, I may get the Seattle team total over 76.5.
Well, as of now, that's what they have listed. We know it can change, but that's what I see. All right, let's keep going. B Daddy says before we do, he says Seattle won't score 80 plus against Minnesota. He doesn't see it. Hey, I mean, you don't got to score 80 for the team total. Just got to get 77 like they got last time versus Minnesota. That's it. All right. Next game up, Wings and Mercury. And not gonna lie, I got to do a little bit of a more brisk pace today. I'll say this: opened up -5, looks like -7 currently. Total up a half point or a point. I think I'm just talking about the total here, Vino. I don't even want to think
Hmm.
about the side. But you get Paige Beckers back for the Wings, right? That's a big help for the offense because they didn't even have anybody else who could handle the ball, play, make, do anything. And in the second half of that Lynx game, they just focused on Enrique, and nobody else could do anything. So she's a big help for that Wings offense. On the flip side, Lissa Thomas, she's back into the lineup. She's going to bring pace. The Mercury, also another team that desperately needed another playmaker besides Satu. Now they have it. I think it's a situation that bodes well for both offenses. I like over. What do you think?
Can't disagree at all. I played it. I like it. Again, for me, it's either Wings games over or don't play them at all. If Phoenix has been surprisingly good offensively, though, Skee, really quick. They've had 85, 86, 94. They've had a lot of big scoring games here. And you play Dallas's horrendous defense. Whether Page is back or not, it really doesn't help their defense. It helps their offense more, helps their pace, helps their shot selection. So I'm with you. I think 167.5 is probably too light. This game should see the 170s.
All right, good stuff. Last but not least, we're going to move it over to Sparks and Aces. We've seen this, I feel like, at least we've seen it once at least, but maybe twice. Um, Opened up -11 for Vegas. Now looks like 9 across the board. Total open 166 and a half. Looks like 168 and a half. And who's available? So still no Brink, no Burrell. And then Alamond is also out for the Sparks. Cheyenne Parker Tyus, Gustafson, both out for the Aces. So it's this situation again, De'Erica Hamby, Kelsey Plum going back to face their old team. I do think they'll come to play. But here's the thing, this is what I'm noticing. And Kelsey Plum went off in her post game interview. I don't know if you saw it, but
I didn't.
she went off. She went off like I never seen a player go off on the ref before. She was dropping F bombs. She didn't give. She didn't until they tell me. I'm gonna just say how I say it, Rob. She didn't give two shits in that interview. She was she was dropping every curse word you could think and saying that the refs. She said, "Look, I got scratches on my face. They don't call anything. I'm going to the paint the most out of any player, and I get 4 free throws." Like she was going hard on the refs. And I'm not gonna lie, what I'm noticing is, and this is my personal opinion. You can call it a conspiracy. You can call it whatever you want, but like I talked about in the last breakdown, De'Erica Hamby had a lawsuit with was it the Aces or WNBA or whatever it is, and I just feel like they're sticking it to the Sparks. They're not getting any calls. Hamby's not getting calls. Plum's not getting calls. And I'm not sure that she's even going to get calls tonight after complaining about the refs. You know how that goes in the NBA. When the players come out and complain, the refs, they don't like them in the next game or the next week or so. So I'm nervous for that, for the Spark side. Outside of that, last time these teams didn't play. I mean, last time these teams played, they didn't have Rakia Jackson. They do this time. And I know they always want to play a good game versus their old team. So it was hard for me to play a side. When I talk about the Aces, Vino, they've been so disappointing. Like we know them to be the championship Aces, and they just look terrible. It's just one-on-one. It's no spacing out there. Jewel Lloyd looks like a shell of herself. Uh, it's not a whole lot to like. But one thing for the Aces is every time they've lost, they've come out in the next game and perform pretty well. The last time against the Sparks was one of those times. So I'm curious which way it'll go tonight on the side. But for the total, I like points. I mean, this is a Sparks team that can score with the best, plays absolutely no defense. Um, and both of these teams, for one, Ace's defense has been horrific too. That's the one thing that's really screwing them over this year. And both of these teams coming off really poor shooting nights, both shot less than 25% from three. you know how we think, Vino. In the next game, we expect them to shoot a little bit better for both of these teams. So I like over in this game. How you feel about it?
Yeah, I agree. The last time they played, I think we both had over. That total was 167, so it's right in line with what we're seeing here tonight. The reason I was laughing earlier was you went to the apps, and as soon as you went to your apps, my screen lit up with total money going up. I'm like, damn, that's Skee's money jacking that thing up right now. I should have gotten a little more before he got to the window. And they had a big first half. It was 99 points for the total in the first half, 57-42 aces at halftime last time. Totally agree with you. And I think if I think back, I could be wrong about this because I don't have the box score in front of me. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But I do believe that the players who changed teams didn't necessarily have monster games in that one. So maybe you get that here this time. I feel like Kelsey Plum, Hamby, I feel like their games were their final statistics weren't what you would expect of somebody playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder against a former team. So maybe we get that tonight. We talked about Rakia Jackson coming back, making them a better offensive team. They play a 170 game, albeit in overtime against Golden State the other night. And I didn't think the offense looked good, but if Kelsey Plum says the referees had a lot to do with the offense not looking good, then that could definitely be an issue here. I still like over. Again, just like I said about the Dallas game, both of these games, the last two on the card, seem like games that are destined for 170 or more. So as long as the odds maker is going to give us something less than 170, I'd be on over.
All right, good stuff there, Vino. We're gonna move it right along. And before we get to best bets, I mean, I don't really have anything to put up on the screen today, so I guess I messed up as the producer here this time. So I'll just I'll just go right over to best bets, and I'll ask you, Vino, is there anything you would like to promote? And if you have a best bet for the show, feel free to share. If you do not, that's all good too.
We keep the promo short and sweet, Skee. Again, if you haven't visited Wager Talk yet, just go ahead and over to wagertalk.com, drop your email address, get instant access to all the videos. I mentioned earlier that I did a full video on Minnesota, Seattle. If you like that type of stuff, all the handicappers over there put that stuff up every day. So once again, wagertalk.com. I will go, let me get back to the board here. I want to go back to the second game that we talked about because I think that's where we have the most wiggle room, and that's the Dallas Phoenix total over. Phoenix commented, I read a couple of coach and player quotes where they're really, really pleased with what they're doing offensively. And as you mentioned, and we've talked about a lot, Satu Sabali does get Alyssa Thomas back tonight. The other side does get Paige Beckers back tonight. The offenses should be good here. I don't see a lot of defensive resistance on either side. Dallas will impose their pace. Dallas will offensive rebound and get second chances. They shot horribly the other day. I think it was like 28.9%. If they just kick that up to like 35 or 36, they're an 85-point team waiting to happen. So for me, it's going to be Dallas, Phoenix up and over 167.
I like it. And promo wise, I guess for myself, I'll just, you can find dang that. There we go, Vino. I'm slacking today. Forgot to put this up there.
There.
You can see both of our pages. Mine is wt.buzz/HP. Rob Vino's is /RV. And right now, I do have a top play in WNBA posted, top play in the NBA posted for tonight, and free play posted as well. So best bet for this show, I like a lot. I'll have a play in every game tonight. I'll go to a different game as you. We'll go, and I didn't talk about it too much, so we'll do that. Aces, and actually let me pull it up and see what the current number is because I already had bet this. So we'll go Aces and Sparks first quarter over. Just to be transparent, I bet over 41, which was the opener. Currently, best number you can get is 41.5. It's as high as 42.5, so make sure you line shop. But I mean, Rob mentioned how high scoring the first half was in the last time. I mean, the first quarter is really where the action happens for both of these teams. I'm pretty sure they've cleared this number in their last 4 meetings, if not its last 4 out of 5. And also, I mean, if you just look at how they perform in general all season long. Aces, I think they score a little closer to 22 points in the first quarter so far this season. It drops off by like 4 points in that second quarter. Same kind of deal for the Sparks. So I think the fireworks come early. I think it can last often, but I just think, me personally, I think the highest scoring quarters this game will be first and fourth. So my best bet for the show is first quarter over 41.5 is the best number you can get right now. Appreciate you all rocking with us. Vino, it's always good to talk these games out with you. Helps the process, helps us make good bets and keep that money adding up in the account. To the people in the chat, a lot of great people there too, great cappers, and you guys help make the show what it is. So appreciate you all. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, and we'll catch you guys then.